are back with a Thursday edition of the Investor Guys podcast. Bill, how's it going?
It is going incredible, my friend. Good to see you as always.
Thank you.
And I'm happy to say that the rain has finally subsided here. So we halted construction on Noah's Ark.
Drying out.
So it has been wetland for, we've had about 8 or 9 days just of solid rain. And hopefully, I know that very quickly here, I'm going to be going, man, I wish we had some rain. But I'm glad that we're taking a little respite from it. And we got sunshine back today and looking good. So
good. Yeah, I know I've got family further north, and my brother has a place on the river, and he has fields actually that are right on the river. So he was saying that they're coming up, and if it gets too much higher, he's going to lose everything that's out there. So I know you guys got a lot of rain in that area. So just if you're out there, try and stay high and try and stay dry, and keep your fingers crossed that the worst of it is over. So what do you want to chat about today?
Well, you see my new background.
I see your background,
DFW Properties. That's the brokerage firm here in the Metroplex that I own over based in Fort Worth, and we handle the whole Metroplex with our agents, of course. And so you know, one of the things that you and I both know a lot about is rehabbing, because we've both done a lot. But a lot of people shy away from, I don't know enough about that. And so they shy away from it. So let's talk a little bit about rehabbing, because no matter what part of the business you're in, you have to understand the numbers. Whether you ever flip a property or not, whether you ever rehab a property or not, doesn't matter. You have to know how to estimate those numbers, because if you don't, you're going to end up making an expensive mistake somewhere along in your career. So what we talk about the rehab numbers today, how to do them, and what to do with them.
And let's start with this, okay? Regardless of how you feel about rehabs, rehabs are the single greatest strategy for getting started in real estate investing with little to no money. It is the strategy that is going to be easiest for you to start and be able to find people who are willing to put up the money to help you get started. It is going to be a strategy that is going to be easiest for you to start, that's going to be able to get you money from nothing to little to hundreds of thousands of dollars inside of a year. That is the single strategy that's going to get you there. Now, I suggest using those strategies to get you to a passive income strategy, but a lot of people love rehabbing properties. Bill is one of them. I know a lot of other people they love rehabbing properties, and I get it. It's a lot of fun. I like being out there building also. But this is the strategy that every single person needs to know how to do, if not master, in order to get themselves that foundation moving forward into the other real estate projects that they want to do. This is the jumping off step. So this is why when most people talk about real estate investing, they assume you are a rehabber. They assume you flip houses, because that is what most people start doing, and that's what most people are doing. So to call yourself a real estate investor and not understand what goes into a flip or a rehab, you really need to add that to your bag of tricks. So this is that important. So pay attention to this particular show, and we're going to cover the numbers that you need to know, and hopefully you can plug those into some sort of a spreadsheet or a project management sheet of your own, so that you know what you're looking for moving forward. So I'm going to turn this over to the pro here.
Well,
being you, Bill.
I was looking to see who else was in the room. So absolutely, when you are starting to invest, and look, as Kevin says, it's the jumping off point. This is the deal that opens up all the other doors. A lot of times when I'm teaching passive money, as same thing when Kevin is, and somebody gets involved and they're like, man, I don't have cash set aside to be able to go out and pick up rental property. and they're not really good at raising private money, we always say, hey, look, let's go do a flip or two so that you create a big check, and now you can take that check and turn it into a passive income stream. And so flipping is crucial. And when you're looking at rental property, you got to know the condition that it's in, and it's going to need work from time to time. Even if it's in great shape right now, even if it's brand new, over time it's going to need work. You need to know how to get those estimates together, how to make the right decision for a contractor, for quality, for speed, and for price, and all of those factors come into play. And Kevin's talking about, we both work off of spreadsheets and inspection sheets. And spreadsheets are just the easiest thing in the world to go into in Excel. So I'll tell you how I got mine going. When I started, the first 3.5 years into business, all I did was HUDs. So they were all foreclosures, they were all flips. And so during that time, I learned very quickly on my own that I had to be able to determine, is this contractor going to be a good contractor for me? Is the quality work they're going to do going to be good? And what's it going to cost? And then how am I going to track that? So Excel is one of the easiest things in the world to use for what we do, because you can always go in and manipulate the sale information on there, the spreadsheet. You can go add new items, take items off, adjust your pricing, all incredibly easy, and keep a nice running total on each project. So what I'll do when I start a project is I'll have my rehab budget, and whatever the dollar amount is that I've put in the bank for that rehab project, I'll start that on my Excel sheet. And not only will I list, here's all my expenditures, but I keep a running total of, okay, so this had a $35,000 budget. This week we spent $2,862.14. And here was the breakdown of all that we used. And here's the running total, and here's what we got left. And so it keeps you where you can always stay on top of, do I have enough money to get my project completed, so you don't catch any surprises. Now, we've come up on a break here, so we're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to jump into how you start building that rehab management sheet so that you're staying on top of your project.
All right, and we'll be back. Once a month, with the exception of December, Bill and I go to markets where we have experience, and we host a real estate buyers event. These are markets that have great return potential for your real estate portfolio. We're going to show you the properties that we buy. We're going to show you where to buy, where not to buy, the strategies to use to make great income from these properties. We're also going to show you resources and individuals here on the ground that you can use to start building your team so that you can repeat this process over and over. The real estate buyers events are designed to put high-performing properties in your portfolio right away. If you're interested in hearing more about the Real Estate Buyers Event, realestatebuyersevent.com. That's realestatebuyersevent.com. Read more about the events, check out the schedule, and register. We'll see you there.
A lot of real estate training programs claim that they will make you a millionaire, but how many of them will guarantee it? The Millionaire Blueprint comes with a millionaire guarantee. I guarantee that if you use the strategies and you use the formulas that you learn in the Millionaire Blueprint, you will be a millionaire. I guarantee that with a double your money back guarantee. Whether you have hundreds of thousands of dollars to invest or absolutely nothing, it doesn't matter. I'm going to show you how to start investing and be a millionaire guaranteed. Now, I can't tell you all about it in this short amount of time, so go to the guaranteedmillionaireblueprint.com. That's the guaranteedmillionaireblueprint.com. Watch the videos there. Read about the guarantee. Read more about what we offer with the Millionaire Blueprint. Get signed up. I'll see you in Palm Beach.
And we are back with our second segment here on the Investor Guys podcast. Let's jump into the different points that we're going to have to put into that spreadsheet. so that we make sure that we are accounting for everything, keeping in mind that no two properties are exactly the same. So our basics are going to be our basics all the time. However, there's going to be times that we look at a property that's going to need foundation work. Other times, just a property that needs, roof work, but no foundation work. So we've got different line items essentially, but let's cover those different line items and how we put those together into a working formula in order to get to where we ultimately need to be.
Well, and I build my spreadsheet very much like I look at a house. I go from the outside first and I look top to bottom. So I start with the roof. So I'm always inspecting the roof when I'm looking at a property to see, okay, am I going to have to replace it? Does it need a little work? What? And every now and then I've bought 3 or 4 of these properties that had the wood shaker shingles on them, which in most states, including Texas, are outlawed now not by cities and stuff necessarily, but by the insurance companies. They just won't cover it. So you can have a house, if it had an existing wood shaker shingle on it and that was your home and you had coverage, they can't cancel you because you have that. But when you sell that property, that insurance goes away and a new insurance provider won't pick it up. So you have to replace that. So I'm always checking out the roof first because that's one of your major expenditures. So that's going to be one of the first items that I put, and it usually for me is number 1 on my spreadsheet is roof. And then I need to look at, so let's say I need a replacement. Am I taking it down to the decking, which is what I always do? I know in a lot of parts of the country, like in the Northeast, there's a lot of shingle on shingle. But typically here, what I'm doing with a property is I'm taking it down all the way down so I can see my decking. And so we're pulling the felt off of it. Want to check and make sure that the decking's in good shape. Because look, if you've got a leak on the inside, if you can see it, then you know that decking has gotten water on it as well. And a lot of times you'll have a rotted area or a soft spot in your decking. Now, decking's plywood. I used to say you can replace that very cheaply, but thanks to Joe Biden, you can replace it somewhat. They're saying that there's a lumber shortage. Suddenly, as in all communistic socialist countries, everything is in short supply. And I'm at Home Depot a lot still. Kevin was talking about I love doing rehabs. I was over at one of them this weekend, redesigning the interior, which is one of the things I absolutely love doing. And so I was talking to my general contractor about it, and he's just like, it is insane what is happening with not only the pricing, but all the different things at Home Depot that the employees of Home Depot are telling him, hey, no, you better grab what you can get now if you know you're going to need it, because we don't know when we're getting any more of it. And that's all thanks to the idiots in Washington. And that's your responsibility and my responsibility. Get those people out so we can do our business. So I'm looking at if I've got decking that's soft and needs to be replaced.
And to your point, real quick, Bill, too, OSB is typically used for decking for roofs. OSB stands for oscillating strand board, and you've seen it. It looks like a bunch of wood chips all smashed together.
Yeah.
Last year, I was getting OSB for less than $10 a board. In fact, a lot of times it was on sale for $7.95 or something like that per board. OSB now is over $80 a board. Over $80 per board. Something that used to cost right about $8 has gone up to what is that? 800%, 1,000%, to over $80 per board. So consider this also when you're doing your rehabs. Look for something that's going to be more of a labor type of position versus lots of materials right now, because your material cost is high, and those are things we need to consider at any given time. Now, we can absolutely get rehabs that need lots of elbow grease. They need lots of painting. They need lots of cleanup. They need lots of lawn mowing. They need lots of fix up that don't mean new materials. Okay, so keep those things in mind when you're looking at rehabs based upon where we are in our cycle of inflation and everything else. But it is. I was doing the math. It costs almost 90% more to build a house now than it did at the same time last year. And that is just absolutely insane. And that is because of the cost of materials. The other thing that I'm seeing cranking up, which you may not necessarily need to worry about on a rehab, is the cost of permits. Permits now, I don't know if you knew this, Bill, but permits now to build a house, a new house, on average, are just under $100,000 per property nationwide.
Wow, that's insane.
That is insane.
That's insane. So you look at what are my costs going to be now? So here's how I've established that this property needs to have a roof replaced on it. So now I want to look at how I select my contractor. Excuse me, if you're new. So one of the things that I'm going to do is I'm going to ask around other real estate investors. This is a great resource that you can get from your real estate investing club, is that you can get into a network of contractors that are used to working with investors and understand that we need quality, speed, and price. And so I look at it in that order. I'm always looking at, I want a great job first. Then I want it to be able to be done timely. And then I'm looking at what's the best value that I can get. And those are the contractors that are going to get my business repeatedly. And I always let them know that you're not bidding, if it's a new relationship, you're not bidding one job. You're bidding a relationship here. I'm not a guy with an insurance claim that you're not ever going to see again. I'm a guy that you not only are going to see again, if our relationship moves forward, you're going to love it every time the phone rings from me. So I'm always getting multiple bids. Now you print out and you can just go, you can write it up yourself, what's called a scope of work. And a scope of work is just, here's what needs to be done. And you go, well, if they're replacing the roof, Bill, that's no big deal. No, you want to make sure that you list that I want this quality of shingle. I want a 30-year or 20, whatever you're doing. This is the quality that I want in my shingle.
You want it removed down to the decking. You want any bad decking replaced.
I want
and
decking replaced. I want it
needs to include haul-off.
I want to make sure that it's completely, that the environment is completely clean. When we take it, and the pros do this, but a lot of times we're going with folks that are not the big roofing companies. And so you want to make sure that all that is, so it's 4 or 5 bullet points that you've got on your sheet, and you hand that to each of the contractors that come out to bid, then they inspect your roof and they'll put a bid together. And then I'm going to look at how do I feel about that contractor when I've been talking to them. Do I feel like this is somebody that I would enjoy having a relationship with, that I think I can have a long-term relationship with? Because if I talk to them and I think they're a jerk, they're not getting my business, because I am looking at long-term. So that's a good way to be able to get started building your contractor base and building your knowledge base on each of these major areas. Now, we're way past on break here. We're going to take a break. We'll come back and we'll jump into foundation next, and what to look for and why it matters.
See you in a minute. 11 months out of the year, Bill and I host real estate buyers events in cities like Cleveland, Ohio, where we ourselves invest and see great returns. We show investors the types of strategies we're using, the types of properties we're using. We introduce them to people here on the ground and the resources that they can use to get started right away. Day 4 of this event, we're actually touring properties and making offers on properties. This event was designed to put properties in your portfolio right away, high-performing properties. Read more about the Real Estate Buyers event. Get registered. We'll see you at the next event, realestatebuyersevent.com. My name's Kevin Mills. I have a real estate training program that is so powerful, I will back it up with a double your money back guarantee that it will make you a millionaire. That's right. Double your money back guarantee that you will be a millionaire if you use what you learn in the Millionaire Blueprint. I call it the Guaranteed Millionaire Blueprint, and you can read more about it and watch more videos at guaranteedmillionaireblueprint.com. That's guaranteedmillionaireblueprint.com. Check it out. All the information is there. And we are back with our final segment on line items, I guess we could say, for rehabs.
And so obviously this show's going to become a multiple episode topic. So we did roofs. Now, the next time I look at is foundation. And so I'm always walking the exterior of the foundation. And foundations are a little different for how they react to the weather that you're in all over the country. Here, we don't ever worry about foundation problems because we know you're going to have them. It's not a question of if, it's a question of when. We have a very, for most of Texas, it has a very sandy composite soil, and so shifts a lot, and that creates foundation issues. So when I'm looking at a slab property, and slabs are typically, once you get into the 60s, most of the time you're going to find slab from the 60s forward. You still will find pier and beam from time to time, depending on where it is. And like in California, you get a lot of steel piers to build on because they're building on sides of mountains. And so what I'm looking at is I'm looking for cracks in the foundation. Now, look, it's concrete. Concrete will have hairline cracks in it no matter where you are. So you have to start looking at it. Is this something that actually makes a difference or not? If I can stick my fingernail in it, then it's starting to concern me. And obviously, if it's any wider than that, certainly it's an issue. And then I want to follow the crack. Is the crack just running through the mortar, and that's a stress fracture? If it's just running through the mortar, then I'm likely not going to have foundation repairs. If we've got a brick property and it's now running through the brick and breaking bricks, we got an issue, got to be resolved. Also, when I'm buying property that has vinyl siding on it, one of the things that a ton of people did through the years was they used vinyl siding on top of brick to hide foundation issues so that they didn't have to go in and fix the foundation. Now, obviously, when a foundation gets bad, and I love bad foundations because you get great values in buying those properties because so many people shy away from them. So I have a long-standing foundation firm that I have used, and so I used one company for about 20 years, and the guy that ran it, not owned it, but ran it, split off to build his own company. And I was one of the people that he called. And so I went with Brad and his new company. And I've been with him now for 15 plus years. And so when you start doing that, you build these relationships. So I know that he's going to give me the best pricing out there. And I get calls all the time because of my exposure in the market. I get reached out. I get found by contractors, people, especially roofers and foundation people that want to do work for me. And I start comparing the price, and Brad's always the best pricing. So I'm looking at how many piers do I have to have? And one thing you'll understand about foundation when you've been around it a while is what they do for an insurance company and what they do for you and I are different things. So a lot of times for an insurance company, they'll put a pier in every 12 inches. Well, when we're doing our work, they're like, Bill, we do that because we can with an insurance company, and they just take it and run with it. And an engineer's letter says, oh, that's great and wonderful. But an engineer's letter, which you're likely going to need when it's done, also says that every 18 inches is absolutely fine. And that takes a big chunk out of your budget. So when I'm looking at that, I'm always pressing for how many piers, where the piers are located. Do we have to have all of those? And is it going to, what you're looking at from them is you want to have not only guidance in how many and where, but you want to have a lifetime transferable warranty. You want to get a copy of that warranty before they do the work, because you want to see, a lot of times you'll have companies, and this is how I bust contractors a lot on foundation work. I'll say, well, send me a warranty over and I'll take a look at it and I'll consider you. And I read through their warranty and they have little gotchas in there. One of them said, hey, if you sell the property, you have to notify us with a certified letter that you have sold it and who the new owner is within 10 days of the close, or it voids your warranty. Okay, well, to me, that's a BS clause. And I told the guy, I'm like, hey, that's just an out for you. You did the work. It doesn't really matter who owns the property. Now, understand what it means. If you have the left front of the property has dropped, you have foundation work come out and done, and they give you a lifetime warranty on it, they're not giving you a warranty on your entire foundation. They're giving you a warranty on the work that they did. And a lot of people miss that over time and think, oh, well, hey, now the right rear has dropped. These guys have a lifetime warranty. I'll call these people, they'll come fix it. No, it's only on the work that they performed. So that if that left front ever drops again, you pick the phone up and they come fix it. And I've had to do that from time to time on rental property. And as long as you understand what's covered, you don't get any grief from them. Like, they want to continue working for you, they're going to honor their warranty. So I want that lifetime transferable warranty. Huge issue for me. And it should be for you as well. And you're going to understand when you start getting foundation bids, they're going to be nuts. They're going to be across the board. In seminars, one of the examples that I show is a property that literally the left front had dropped 4 inches. Well, when your foundation drops 4 inches, the effect makes it look like it dropped 4 feet. I mean, it's dramatic. And the first bid I got on it was over $40,000. And that particular property was probably 16, 17 years ago. It was over $40,000. And I told the guy, dude, not an insurance claim. I'm an investor. Came down a little bit. And I said, not gonna happen. Not gonna work. So we kept on and we ended up with $4,750. And we went from $40,000 to $4,750, and the house was perfect. But it took about 2 weeks for us to get to that point, getting the owner of the company out. But none of that would have ever happened had I not known where I stood. And I didn't know things like, hey, just because they quote you doesn't mean you can't negotiate it. And Ron LeGrand taught me the greatest negotiating tool ever, which is, and I use it all the time. And when I'm teaching, I always attribute this to Ron because that's where I learned it from. And is that the best you can do? That is one of the greatest negotiating tools with any contractor and on anything. Is that the best you can do? And so make sure that you've got these 2 major items covered. These are likely going to be your 2 most expensive items. Certainly your flooring is going to run in on all this, but these are going to be up toward the top of the list every time, roof and foundation. It's a good start for you on understanding rehab numbers. And when you look at property, whether you're looking at it as a wholesale, you're keeping it as a long-term rental, whatever you're doing with it, when you start understanding these numbers better, you're in a better position to make a correct purchase. It's one that you're going to be happy with over a long haul, and you're not going to go, oh my gosh, I overpaid. Because when you overpay on the front end, the only way you ever recover from that is through time. And we'd rather not have to do it that way.
Now, before we wrap up, essentially take each one of these line items, okay, put them into your spreadsheet and establish the cost for each one of these line items. Based upon the overall cost of these individual line items, does this project work for you? Is this going to be a property that you're going to be able to invest in and see the return that you expect to see from this property? It's pretty easy to do a spreadsheet. Most people can do it. If not, you can spend about an hour with an Excel spreadsheet and figure out how to do it. This is going to give you that number. Now you can adjust those numbers each time and it'll actually adjust your overall number each time as well. I don't know about Bill, but what I like to do is there are open source project management software programs that you can use as well. I like to put together a project management program on each individual property that we're doing. So I can track scheduling, I can track to make sure the project is done when it's on time, each particular individual aspect of the project, and know what's going on and be able to hand that particular project software, that program, over to somebody else who can make sure that everything is running like it's supposed to do. One thing that a lot of people, and Bill and I have probably been remiss in teaching this, just because I start a project doesn't mean I have to finish it. Okay. There have been times I've started a rehab project and somebody else has come along and loved the house and loved what I was doing with it and didn't want to wait for me to finish it. And I literally passed everything over to them, took my profit out of it right then and there. They already had the contractors. They already had any permits that were supposed to go. They already had everything ready to go. And I was able to hand them essentially an electronic folder of the progress that was already made and where we were going with it. And I was able to get out and move on to my next project. So consider that you're not locked into something forever when you get it. If you've got someone who's interested, or you can make a quick buck by flipping it quicker than when it's done, do it. Money is money.
And I've bought several projects like what Kevin's talking about, where investors that did not know what they were doing got in, they were in over their head, and they lost the property. And I came along looking at it because it had gotten foreclosed on, and I go, oh, wow, this thing had already gotten started nicely. They'd already done all the demo. Maybe they had started part of the rehab. I use several of those in my weekend events, showing people that, hey, these, you can get terrific values when you come in and pick up a property like that as well. And man, I have jumped on several of those and love them when somebody, Kevin certainly didn't get in over his head. He's making profit, but a lot of people try to do this because they started the way I did. And my initial thought was, hey, it's a house. How hard can it be? Well, then I obviously found out how hard it can be. So,
but you know what? It all boils down to they didn't do their numbers.
Yeah,
they didn't put those line items together, and they didn't do their numbers. Now, I didn't tell you this, Bill, but I actually started on my next book this last weekend, and it is about numbers. It is about doing things by the numbers, everything by the numbers. If you run the numbers and the numbers work, okay, there's a couple of key aspects. You need to make sure you know what numbers you're looking at. You need to make sure you have the right numbers. Your formula is only as good as the numbers that you plug into it, and your formula is only as good as the formula that you build. So you need to make sure you've got all the numbers that you need. You need to make sure you have the right numbers. You need to make sure that you've accounted for everything. That's your formula. And then when you have run your formula, if that equation is the correct equation, what you want, what's going to fit your criteria, then it's a done deal. It works. Okay. If you run those numbers and it doesn't fit that equation, walk away, move on to the next. It is all by the numbers. So when you see somebody fail, it is from one of two reasons. Usually it is because they didn't run the numbers. They didn't know the numbers. They didn't run the numbers. They forgot something. Okay. Or mismanagement, but usually it's the numbers. Thank you for joining us, and we will see you guys back here again on Tuesday. Have a great weekend. Bill, I will talk to you before then. In fact, I know
you as well, my brother.
A couple of days here for another show. Have a great day, and we'll see the rest of you guys soon.